Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a few weeks since the last video on location. In the meantime, I have stored this car in the storage, had the battery on a trickle charger, and I repurposed my bedroom into a studio. And luckily I have a green wall, so I can use it as a green screen and use different backgrounds. And I recorded, I guess, 2 or 3 videos, but I've only uploaded 2 of them, so there's more to come. It's very funny, although recording in front of a green screen is still a little bit weird, but I guess that's the challenge in that. And I'm out here today because I haven't been here in, I guess, 2 years. I've been here when I recorded my first YouTube video, which was December 30th, 2018. So in just 3 days, it will be the official anniversary of my first YouTube video, or the recording of my first YouTube video. And in those 2 years, I have learned so much about recording videos, editing videos, talking to people on camera. And just recently I watched my first YouTube video and it is unwatchable. The wind noises were very distracting. I didn't have a microphone back then, and I guess I still don't have one, but most of my shootings happen in warm conditions, in warm weather where there's no wind. But yeah, I still have to buy one, a proper microphone. I bought one, a lavalier microphone, but it doesn't seem to be working properly. And back to the video, as I said, it's unwatchable. I seem to be very angry while recording everything. Probably I was very nervous about doing that because it was the first video. The quality of the video was bad because I was using an older camera, but it was the first YouTube video. It was a new experience, and I have learned so much over the past 2 years. So hopefully you can see my progress in those videos. And that's the whole reason I came out here today, to celebrate my first 2 years on YouTube. The channel is still rather small, but I've never expected, as mentioned in one of the previous videos, that the channel is going to explode in any way. The topics are quite specific. The audience is somewhat limited. I am very surprised to see a lot of fans in Cuba. I've been talking to a few of them, which is very nice, so far from home. But yeah, let's keep doing those videos. I am very patient. I'm looking forward to doing them and to maximize my reach. Clearly I'm recording most of my videos in 3 different languages, which is a challenge for itself. And I'm just having fun here, and that's basically it for this video, or at least for this part of the video. It's cold, it's the end of December, so that's normal, but I'm freezing here. Going to finish up. Here in the background, that's a little hydroelectric plant. Farther back there is a bigger one. I'm going to show you that in a photo in the video, but for now I'm going to finish up here and see you in the studio. Bye bye. So welcome back in the studio. You can see the green wall behind me. It is going to disappear soon. I'm going to play my first YouTube video over it, and as it is 2 years since my first YouTube video, I would like to review it. What would I do differently now with the experience that I have? I'm sure there is a lot that I would change now, but let's get started.
Hello fellow YouTubers and car enthusiasts. My name is Alexander and this is my first YouTube video. Actually, it is the first time in front of a camera. By now, you probably have noticed that English is not my native language, and therefore there might be some errors in pronunciation or grammar. With the introduction done, let's get started. Today's topic is a car that has been sold millions of times and was a true people's car. However, it's not a Volkswagen. Its production stopped in the year 2000, but there's still thousands of them on the streets, especially in Eastern Europe. Can you imagine the car I'm talking about? Let me show you a short video clip, and I'm sure that a lot of you will immediately recognize this car. Enjoy!
So there is not much to talk about. I guess I would do a lot of it the same now. I may go out with the camera a little bit, it's too close to me, and having a microphone would be beneficial, but I didn't have one back then. I still don't have one except this little one. I don't know how well it works. So far I'm not very satisfied with it, but maybe that's not the fault of the microphone, but this room, it echoes a lot because there's very little furniture in here, so maybe that's my fault, but let's continue with the video. So this little introduction part with the car, I recorded it a little bit farther away from home. It was somewhere around November, December of 2018, and normally there aren't any cars allowed, but luckily there weren't any people around, and so I used this situation to go out and record this little part. And there was actually a little bit more of that, but nothing that I used for this particular video.
For those of you who didn't recognize this car, it's a Fiat 126P. The P, the name of the car, stands for Poland. However, Polish people call it Maluch, which means little one. It was first developed and produced by Fiat in Italy and was supposed to be the successor of the famous Fiat 500. Unfortunately, sales numbers have never met Fiat's expectations, therefore the production has been discontinued. Sometime later, the Polish production company called FSM, located in Bielsko-Biała, got the rights to produce the car in Poland. FSM stands for Fabryka Samochodów Małolitrażowych, which roughly translates to factory for cars with small engines.
I remember this part very well, Fabryka Samochodów Małolitrażowych. I had to record this a few times because I never managed to say it properly. And what is very difficult, especially for recording the first time around, is with a moving background. Actually, this video is the third try that I actually had. The first ones didn't turn out very well because there were a lot of cuts in between, and clearly with a moving water in the background you would immediately notice where a cut is, because in one frame the water would look completely different than in the other. And this third try actually worked out pretty well, and there are a lot less cuts than in the previous versions, and it was, as I said, noticeable because of the water in the background. But if there weren't any water, you would have seen the difference by people walking on the bridge there, and that is noticeably absent from this version.
If I remember correctly, production started around 1973 and lasted until the year 2000. Over 4 million units were sold. The last 1,000 cars, however, were a special limited edition called Happy End. 500 red ones and 500 yellow ones were produced. During the production cycle of the car, there were a few different models. However, the differences between them were mostly minor. The biggest changes occurred in the middle of the 1980s by simply changing the dashboard and putting in an electronical ignition. Prior to that, the cars had a mechanical ignition. Let me show you inside the car how this ignition worked.
This shot of me going back into the car, showing how the ignition works, it is a pretty simple shot, nothing complicated about that, but I'm very proud of this, and I wouldn't change anything in this shot.
Those two levers were basically the ignition system. The left one was for the choke, to increase the fuel flow into the carburetor. The right one made the engine start. You just had to pull it up.
So this is how the ignition system worked in the older cars. I could have explained how the ignition system in this current car works. So the left one is still the choke, as said in the video, and the right one is for the heating in the newer cars. So it doesn't have to do anything with the ignition of the car, but the heating.
I bought my Fiat in 2010. Back then, the car looked somehow entirely different. First of all, it was painted red, which was not its original color. The inside of the car, however, had still its original paint job. Furthermore, it had plastic front and rear bumpers, plastic covers on the doors, and white painted steel rims. In the beginning, I was very happy having one for myself. However, after some time, I wasn't satisfied anymore with just owning it. So I started imagining what I want my car to look like. As I'm a no talent when it comes to craftsmanship, I was only able to do little things. As far as I remember, the first thing I did was to remove the plastic bumpers and swap them for the chrome ones. Another thing I was able to do was to remove the plastic covers on the doors. Swapping the bumpers and removing the plastic covers on the doors left me with a lot of holes in the bodywork. Those I had fixed by a professional paint shop. Having fixed that, the car looked actually pretty fine, and I thought that I was finally done. Obviously, this was just temporary, and in fact, I was very far from being finished.
So this was a rather longer part of the video, and as you saw in the background, at one point there was a person going all over the bridge right up until the end, and there was a slight transition, and there the person disappeared. But mostly I am very satisfied with the part. What I would change if I recorded this video now, I would definitely have a lighter tone to the video, because it seems that I'm very angry at something, which I wasn't. It was basically just me being nervous, recording my first YouTube video, not knowing what to expect from the comments. Clearly going the content creator way on YouTube is a rather dangerous one, in lack of a better word, because there will always be somebody that will comment negatively, and negative comments aren't necessarily bad if they're constructive. Surely there are here and there comments that out of spite, for whatever reason, are negative, but that's just the way it is. But let's continue with the video.
Some time had passed, and then I decided to have the car restored. I knew from the start this was going to cost a lot of money, so I was looking for a sponsor. I applied for a sponsorship with a big local energy drink producer, as they are globally known for the sponsoring. I drafted a business plan and sent it there. After maybe 2 or 3 weeks, I received an answer. Although it was not the answer I was hoping for, it wasn't a complete waste of time and energy. At least, I got a free 6-pack of their product. Anyway, through a random encounter, I met a guy who specialized in restoring old cars. The funny thing about it was that this guy had already restored a few Fiat 500s, which are very similar to the Fiat 126P, as it was his predecessor. So, the restoration started in February 2016. I wanted the car back in June, for the summer of course. Little did I know, it was July 2017 when the car was finally finished. Those are pretty long 17 months. They say good things come to those who wait, and indeed it was worth the wait.
So again, I wouldn't change very much in this part. But clearly, as I had no experience of recording any videos, my speech patterns were very rusty, and I'm talking very slowly, or sometimes even very fast. There is no flow in there. So this is something I would definitely change if I recorded this video today.
Wait, prior to giving the car to the shop, I removed all the interior to save time and money. The only things left inside were the driver's seat, the steering wheel and the pedals. The whole process started with sandblasting the car to apply the new paint job later on. Lucky for me, the car had almost no corrosion that had to be fixed. Back then, Fiats were not the most durable cars when it came to corrosion. After that, it was time for the paint job. I was thinking for a long time which color to choose. Finally, I decided to go with the Ford Focus ST Orange called Electric Orange. Now it was time to put the car back together. I managed to buy mostly new parts, but had to use a few reconditioned ones as well. The day I got the call to pick the car up, I couldn't believe it. It's been such a long time. But as you can see for yourselves, the result is pretty amazing. Just this past summer, I went to Poland to visit some relatives, and I had my car transported there. My intention was to have the entire engine reconditioned, because it had already 80,000+ kilometers on it, so it was time. Unfortunately, or rather fortunately in this case, I had too little time.
I would like to pause right here at this moment and talking about making the speech a little bit lighter, a little bit more funnier. This is an exact moment that I would definitely do differently. The unfortunately, or rather unfortunately part, I would smile onto the camera, make it a little more funny than it was presented back then in the video.
However, I managed to buy a completely new engine off the internet. Lucky for me, there was a local town mechanic who was able to swap the engine within a day. So basically, I have a completely new engine in the car. I will have the original 650 cubic centimeter engine reconditioned and put back onto the car at some point. The 600 cubic centimeter engine is one from earlier in the 1980s. It's been 1.5 years since the restoration, and I'm still very satisfied with the result. It may be just me, but whenever I drive by people, they immediately start to smile.
So as you can clearly see, the first part of the video and this part were recorded back to back. The other parts were recorded either before or after. I don't remember exactly, but you clearly see that the sun is shining from a completely different angle than in the other parts of the video.
Here in Austria, there's a technical mandatory inspection every 12 months. I had mine just this past November and passed flawlessly without any problems. If you guys stuck with me until the end of this video, hit the like button, leave your comments down below and subscribe for more content.
I really liked this outro, or the thank you part of the video. It was again a very basic, easy shot, nothing major, but it looked very fine. Just a few weeks ago, I was trying to re-edit the video, and unfortunately the footage is really bad. The quality of the video is bad because I used an older camera, and I'm not very familiar with upscaling older material to higher resolutions, so maybe there is something to come in the future, but currently I'm unable to do that. But all in all, I am very satisfied with how the first video ended up. in comparison to the first two versions of it that I haven't put on YouTube. But thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Bye bye.